Bloody ridiculous.
Carpooling, buy electric, walk, run, bike.
The pumps tonight as the posted price of gas shot up by more than 10 cents a liter. 164.9 is what many drivers are paying tonight. So if you are one of the ones who had to fill up your gas tank today, you likely share some of those sentiments being expressed by motorists. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Since the outbreak of the Iran war, oil has skyrocketed, and sadly tonight, there's likely no relief in sight. CTV's Joseph Bernacki is at a gas station tonight on Portage Avenue. Joseph, what are you hearing from drivers filling up there?
Marilee, drivers across the city tonight are fed up with the prices. I mean, you take a look at the average price of gasoline at most stations, including the one standing behind me here on Portage Avenue, is $1.64.9. And then you take a look at diesel. That price has jumped up more than 40 to 50 cents in just the last week alone. Some stations just over $2 a liter, including ones that you're about to see in our report. Winnipeg drivers are really feeling a pinch at the pumps. On Tuesday, many gas stations around the city raised their price of gasoline to $1.64.9.
Bloody ridiculous. I'm from the Saskatchewan border and we're at about 140.9, 149.9.
Nobody was expecting that. It was a surprise.
And the prices have left drivers shaking their heads trying to figure out how to get to work affordably.
I haven't gassed up recently, but it'd be well over $100.
Carpooling, buy electric, walk, run, bike.
And it's not just gasoline prices impacting drivers. The price of diesel has risen more than 50 cents at some stations, including over $2 a liter here on Route 90. Seeing that price rise has Jason Dubois, owner of Len Dubois Trucking, worried about his bottom line.
The last year has been quite volatile, and then of course since the Iran war, we've seen it jump up 30, 40 cents, 50 cents a liter here virtually overnight.
Dubois manages a fleet of 75 trucks driving long haul and freight across the country. He says trucking has historically returned slim profits, and they've been monitoring fuel prices daily. As a result, the volatility has forced them to add on to the fuel surcharge they pass down to their customers.
It jumped up over $1 a gallon in 1 week in the U.S., and the Department of Energy down there has said it was the largest increase they've ever seen since they started tracking that number. Now we have to have our surcharge fluctuates daily. Historically, it's been weekly, some even monthly in stable times.
Aaron Deliniak, Executive Director of Manitoba Trucking Association, says if fuel prices continue to rise,
this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back in some cases, and we could see some bankruptcies as a result, because it's been a really tough number of years for our industry here.
And of course, higher costs for truckers mean higher costs for consumers that are going to pay more after receiving that transportation. Of course, it's so much so, I spoke with Sylvain Charlebois today. He is a professor from Dalhousie University's Agri-Food Lab. He notes that food inflation may hit levels that we haven't seen since 2022 when the Ukraine war broke out, just for comparison, Marilee.
Joseph, I almost don't want to ask, but how much worse can it get?
Unfortunately, Marilee, we're not out of the woods yet. As Charlebois points out, we take a look going back a few years to the Ukraine war, prices may get worse. That industrial carbon tax is set to increase on April 1st from $95 to $110 per metric ton. So we can expect potentially another increase in just a few weeks' time. Certainly it was something we'll be monitoring, of course, for CTV News.
All right, thanks for this, Joseph. In case you're wondering about how unusual this price spike we're seeing is tonight, I want you to check this out, because according to fuel price monitor GasBuddy.com, the last time Winnipeg had an average gas price around the $1.60 mark was back in the fall of 2023. At the time, prices were falling from a peak of $1.67.7, which was set a few months earlier. But for the true high water mark, you have to go all the way back to June of 2022. That's when the average price of regular unleaded, brace yourself, hit $2.07.5 per liter. That came following the Russian invasion of Ukraine. One person is dead following a house fire in North Kildonan. Calls about a fire in the 300 block of Trent Avenue just off Henderson Highway began coming in at around 8:20 Monday night. Crews encountered heavy smoke and flames coming from the home when they arrived on scene. They managed to get the fire under control within about an hour, and once inside, they found one person deceased. No details regarding the person's identity have been released. The cause is now under investigation. School tax bills are adding up in Winnipeg. Divisions are raising taxes higher than normal, some by as much as 10%. Standing by live with more tonight is CTV's Jeff Keel. So, Jeff, why are the increases so large this year?
Trustees say their expenses and student populations are growing, but provincial funding is not keeping up.
Many Winnipeg homeowners are giving school tax bills a failing grade.
Well, it's gone through the roof, obviously. No one's happy with them.
The 6 major divisions in the city have passed their 2026-27 budgets, all with school tax increases. The lowest is in Seven Oaks at 2.36%. Then it goes up from there. River East Transcona, 7.3%. St. James Assiniboia, 8.87%. Winnipeg, the city's largest division, 9.32%. Pembina Trails, 9.61%. And Louis Riel at 9.99%. 2 city councillors, Jeff Brawadi and Evan Duncan, are highlighting the amounts.
Ultimately, it's alarming that the school divisions on average are raising their taxes 10%.
I understand, and we understand, that it's a higher than normal increase on the local property taxes.
Craig Stolke is the vice board chair at Pembina Trails. He says as more students enroll, more teachers and EAs are needed to improve outcomes and assist students with special needs.
Our total expenses are going up a little over 9%. Consequently, the difference has to be raised from the local levy.
That difference, many divisions say, exists because provincial funding falls short. But Manitoba's finance minister says they are adequately funding education and points to a tax credit where eligible homeowners can get up to $1,600.
We're lowering those costs of education property taxes while we finally fund education properly.
When the NDP came into power, they removed all the safeguards that protected Manitoba homeowners from massive school division tax hikes.
The City of Winnipeg is obligated to collect the school taxes. A city report says there's an increase of $75 million this year, or 8.7% compared to 2025. Now, those numbers also include Seine River and Interlake school divisions.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. Well, are you wearing any green tonight? St. Patrick's Day festivities are in full swing all across our city, and taking in some of the fun for us tonight is CTV's John Hendricks, who is over at the Irish Association. John, I see you found some green tonight.
Marilee, it is St. Patrick's Day. It's a day that anyone, even if you're not Irish, can feel Irish. And I'm definitely getting into the spirit. Allow me to wave at you guys back at the station. I have to say, the only thing that I am disappointed about is that I forgot my Kiss Me, I'm Irish pin. I was talking about getting one of those pins at Folklorama last summer, and a viewer was kind enough to send it to me, and then I went and forgot it. Maybe I will have to get some Guinness to drown my disappointment. But let me tell you, that is the only thing that is disappointing about the St. Patrick's Day celebration that is going on right here. They've got music, they've got dancing, and as you can see, they have a lively crowd. Everyone here having a lot of fun. So I'm going to send it back to you, and I am going to head back in there and have some more fun. So we will send it right back to you guys. I'll wave you.
Please wave goodbye to me before you go.
And we'll see you later.
I love that hat. All right, looking forward to checking back in with you in a bit, John.
Oh my.
Colleen, he's outdoing you tonight. That's quite the hat he has.
Well, like I was saying last hour, if you were with us for our Halloween newscast, you'll know exactly why I can't wear green tonight as much as I would love to. But I was lucky enough to be in Dublin 6 months ago, and I did get my Trinity necklace. So I'm covered off there, and I must say, there were some folks in the pubs out there that looked an awful lot like John Hendricks does tonight. So good on you, John. It's a lot of fun celebrating St. Patrick's Day. Not so much, though, if you are contending with the snow that has been falling. You can see it's starting to let up now. It's starting to move further into southeastern Manitoba and for the most part into the U.S. So I'll have more details on when this wraps up tonight, what comes next, and when these temperatures are finally going to warm up. And they will. They're actually already starting to do that. But for now, let's take a look through the CTV Live Eye. It's brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, the snow's still falling and it is still blowing around in those very strong winds out of the south-southeast. It is -9 degrees. The pressure's dropping and the humidity right now merely is 84%.
Thanks, Colleen. Mayor Scott Gillingham is casting some doubt on a proposal at City Hall calling for the default speed limit to be dropped across the city. The Public Service has recommended lowering the default speed limit to 40 kilometers an hour. A motion making its way through City Hall would see the city lobby the province to amend the Highway Traffic Act, the first step before any discussion about future speed limits can happen. However, Gillingham says if the province should deny the request, he's not inclined to pursue the issue any further.
As I said, ultimately, it's up to the province to make a change to the Highway Traffic Act if they're going to permit it. I do not support the city making a change which will require a sign on pretty much every street and over $10 million to implement it. That wouldn't be a prudent expenditure of funds, or even, I wouldn't even, have that discussion.
The city's Executive Policy Committee voted in favor of the motion to put the ask into the province about changing the Highway Traffic Act. CTV News contacted the Premier's office for a response. A spokesperson directed us to a previous statement from Infrastructure Minister Lisa Naylor, which said the City of Winnipeg already has the authority to set speed limits on its roads, but added the province remains open to discussions and will consider the request if it passes council. A caregiver at a Pinawa seniors facility is speaking out tonight after a recording of an incident between a vulnerable resident and the manager surfaced online. The worker was fired for bringing the matter forward, and another person fears reprisal. CTV's Harrison Shin has more, but first a warning. The details may be disturbing for some viewers.
Josephine Hall was fired from the Ironwood Gardens Elder Care, a privately owned assisted living facility in Pinawa. But that all stemmed from an incident on March 6th, which another person at the facility recorded.
She was yelling and threatening her, threatening with the one thing we all know that resident is most afraid of in the world, which is going to the hospital.
Hall says the recording captured manager Zan Moore berating a woman Hall called a vulnerable resident. CTV News is not identifying the resident as her family could not be reached. Moore did not respond to requests for comment. Hall said she was so disturbed by the incident, she reported it to RCMP.
I just wanted to be able to have a third party look at it objectively and decide.
In an email, Mounties confirmed that a report was made about the incident on March 8th and the matter was referred to the Protection for Persons in Care office. Hall says she tried that route, but the office told her the facility was not in their scope. In an email, a provincial spokesperson confirmed to CTV News the office only investigates reports of alleged abuse or neglect in provincially licensed centers, adding that seniors housing, including assisted living and supportive housing, are not considered as healthcare facilities under the Act. Stu Iverson is the president of the Ironwood Gardens Board. An individual answered the phone associated with him but would not comment or confirm if it was Iverson. When asked if he was sending a statement, he said no. Ironwood Gardens Board Vice President Wally Kukurits did not return emails.
If you're going to act like a child, you're going to be treated like a child.
The person who witnessed the incident confirmed they recorded the audio. CTV News is protecting their identity due to fears of reprisal. Hall says she was fired on March 12th for not bringing the audio to Moore first.
Honestly, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Pinawa, Manitoba.
We reached out to Health Minister Yusoma Asagara about Hall's concerns. The minister has agreed to an interview with us about this tomorrow. Tempers flared at the Manitoba Legislature today over an alleged comment by the leader of the opposition.
We are very grateful for our partnerships with school divisions. We're grateful for our partnership with the superintendent from Pembina Trails School Division, with the board chair, both of whom.
Order, please. Stop the clock.
Now, amid the heckling, the supposed comment cannot be heard on any of the microphones, but members of the governing NDP are accusing PC leader Abi Khan of saying, quote, whatever you are, while directing a comment at Health Minister Yusoma Asagara, who is non-binary. That prompted Premier Wapkanu to say this.
During some of the heckling exchanges that you interrupted earlier, he was shouting at the Minister of Health, accusing them of being terrible. But the part that's really offensive is that immediately following that, he said, and I quote directly, "whatever you are," end quote. So that is clearly a reference to their gender. And so again, I would ask the member to stand in his place and apologize for the good of the chamber.
Following question period, Khan addressed those accusations, denying he made the remark and accusing the NDP of attempting to distract from other issues.
I did not say what the members opposite are saying that I said. If they say that, then I asked them to say it outside in the chamber and prove it. Prove what they're saying. I mean, no, I didn't. The toxicity in the environment in the chamber is not a good one. I have the utmost respect for everyone. I've said this publicly. I have the utmost respect for our premier in the province. He has a very tough job, and everyone on that side has a tough job. It is an honor to serve in this building. The accusations of what they're saying, did not say it.
The spat is just the latest point of tension between the two parties. The hunt is on tonight for a tire-slashing suspect in Brandon. Dozens of vehicles in the Wheat City's south end were hit recently, causing thousands of dollars in damage.
Over 70 tires slashed in this vandalism spree, so certainly concerning.
Police say it happened on March 11th, and vehicles parked on 7 streets were targeted.
Yeah, so we did unfortunately have a isolated random series of vandalisms that took place. Kind of atypical in that it happened in the south part of Brandon, which isn't an area that has an overabundance of these types of incidents.
Bates says police are still trying to identify who is responsible for the tire slashings, but investigators are currently looking for 2 suspects. The first was seen wearing red jogging pants, a red hoodie, a black jacket, and sunglasses. The second had on a gray hoodie, a black vest, and black shoes. If there's a particular Manitoba road that's been grinding your gears, CAA wants to hear about it. It just launched its Worst Roads campaign today, which gives people the opportunity to vote on what they feel are the worst places to drive in our province. Manitobans can nominate roads based on any issue, from potholes to poor signage to the timing of traffic lights. You can submit a nomination online now up until April 10th. After that, CAA will announce its annual top 10 worst roads in Manitoba. Still to come tonight, a frustrated President Trump takes aim at his closest allies.
I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake.
A top U.S. counter-terrorism official quits over the war with Iran. All that and more when we return. Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil jumped more than $3. The loonie slipped to 73 cents U.S. Gold futures added $6. The TSX gained 52 points. The Dow Jones was up 46 points, while the Nasdaq climbed 105 points. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad was hit by rocket and drone attacks again today after a series of strikes hit the same area earlier in the day. Iran continued to attack neighboring countries housing U.S. installations, while Israel announced airstrikes overnight killed more high-ranking Iranian officials. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
Iran kept up its drone strikes overnight with a wave of attacks targeting the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. One of the most intense since this war began, with security officials saying at least 5 drones were used. Countries in the Gulf were also targeted. Authorities in the United Arab Emirates say 10 ballistic missiles and 45 drones launched from Iran were intercepted. While in Israel, an Iranian missile caused damage in the central part of the country. Despite more than 2 weeks of bombardment, Iran continues to target so-called enemy countries, though the tempo of those strikes has slowed. In what could be a major blow to the regime, Israel says it killed one of Iran's top leaders, Ari Larijani. Last seen in public on Friday, Larijani had strong ties to both Moscow and Beijing and was seen as more of a pragmatist than a hardliner. The United States released this video today, which Central Command says shows strikes against targets inside Iran. It comes on the same day as the United Nations announced it is investigating the fatal strike on a primary school in Iran on the first day of this war, which killed 168 people, mostly girls. A preliminary investigation found the U.S. was likely responsible, though nothing has been proven.
Given the innocent lives that have been lost, there is a critical need for such an investigation to be done and for an independent outcome to follow.
The UN is also questioning Israel's conduct in Lebanon, saying some of its strikes there may constitute war crimes. The death toll from renewed fighting between Israel and Hezbollah, the Iran-backed militant group, is nearly 900, according to the health ministry. Nearly 1 million people have been displaced. We feel that someone should look at us, this man says. There has been a lot of destruction. Heather Wright, CTV News, Istanbul.
The U.S. president is still trying to persuade allies to send in reinforcements to secure the critical Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump is justifying, the U.S. and Israeli war in Iran as he faced his first public defection over the war. Joy Melvin has more from Washington.
Thank you very much for being here.
Greeting the Irish Prime Minister in the Oval Office, President Donald Trump lashed out at NATO and U.S. allies for not joining the war against Iran.
I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake, and I've long said that, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test, because we don't need them.
As his top counterterrorism official just quit publicly. A stinging resignation. Joe Kent posted on X he could not in good conscience support the war, saying Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. A shocking surprise among the president's loyal ranks. Kent openly questioned the president's judgment.
He was weak on security. It's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was.
The president praised his Arab allies taking the brunt of it after most NATO nations bowed out. France's President Emmanuel Macron said, France did not choose this war. We are not taking part in it. And from Britain's Prime Minister,
we will not be drawn into the wider war.
Trump wanted their help to safeguard the Strait of Hormuz, but it's risky. With tankers on fire, Iran has blocked the critical waterway for oil, sending gas prices soaring. Trump grumbled.
Everyone agrees with this, but they don't want to help. And we as the United States have to remember that, because we think it's pretty shocking.
The president's pressure campaign on allies so far coming up empty. As for his timeline, Trump said the U.S. is not ready to leave Iran yet, but will in the near future. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
A new poll shows a majority of Canadians are opposed to this country's military becoming involved in the war in the Middle East. 74% of those surveyed by the Angus Reid Institute say the Canadian Armed Forces should stay out of the war. Meanwhile, 10% say Canada should get involved in Iran, while 15% aren't sure. Prime Minister Mark Carney has already told Parliament Canada will not participate in the campaign. Pakistan is being accused of an airstrike on an Afghan drug treatment center in Kabul, killing at least 100 people. Taliban claims the death toll is over 400, and the UN has called for an investigation. The cross-border conflict reignited last month, with Pakistan accusing Afghanistan of harboring militants, which Kabul has denied. Meantime, Pakistan calls the claims it hit the medical facility false and misleading, releasing this video of what it says are precision airstrikes carried out on military targets. Canada's Pacific coast is seeing a lot of heavy rain, and there's more on the way. In northern BC, a train derailed after the rain triggered a landslide. CN Rail says it happened yesterday afternoon in the community of Port Edward. A fire broke out at a high-end car dealership in Calgary. The fire gutted the showroom and destroyed several luxury vehicles. Officials say fighting this fire was difficult because of the lithium-ion batteries in those electric vehicles.
millions and millions of dollars worth of vehicles in there, and a whole high-end, like electric vehicles, high-end Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and you name it, everything.
Crews had to use about 7 million liters of water to put the fire out. Water is currently in short supply in Calgary because of major water main breaks. To Alberta now, where it and the Czech Republic will play host to the World Cup of Hockey in 2028. Calgary will host 7 games at the New Scotia Place, which is set to be finished late this year. Edmonton's Rogers Place will host the semifinals and the final. Prague will host some round-robin games. Tonight, we can show you the results of a bed-building blitz for a Northern First Nation that we first reported on last month. The Knights of Columbus made a special delivery to Matthias Colombe First Nation at the end of February. 8 volunteers helped deliver 22 new beds and 500 new winter coats to children in the community. 10 wheelchairs were also given to the local nursing station. The group helped train local residents on how to put the beds together. The bed build was done in partnership with the Knights of Columbus and Sleep in Heavenly Peace.
Hang on,
And she makes it 5 in a row. Gimli's Carrie Anerson notches another victory at the Women's World Curling Championship. We'll have a look at the match and the standings when we return.
And overall, much warmer temperatures are on the way, but with a bit of variation throughout the course of the long-range forecast. Up to +3 by Thursday, increasing clouds, but did I mention +3? 2 degrees on Friday, cloudy. There is the chance of freezing rain. It's a low chance, as is the chance on Saturday of snow showers or ice pellets, but still worth a mention. Otherwise, a cloudy high of -1. Brightening up on Sunday and Monday, -4 on Sunday, back up to +2 degrees on Monday.
If you spotted a number of military fighter jets flying over Winnipeg Sunday, it's nothing to worry about. CTV viewers sent us these videos of the planes, and an Air Force spokesperson tells us the CF-18 Hornets were on their way to Quebec after a recent training exercise and made a stop here in Winnipeg. Arctic Edge was a joint field training exercise involving NORAD and U.S. Northern Command in locations throughout Alaska and Greenland. The exercise is held yearly. It's St. Patrick's Day, and that means Irish culture is on full display tonight. Let's check back in with CTV's John Hendricks, who is joining us live once again from the Irish Association of Manitoba. John, what is it like? What's going on over there now? I see you've got some nice shades.
You know, Marilee, it could be the fact that it is St. Patrick's Day. It could be all of the Guinness, but I am beginning to see the world through green-colored lenses. Everything seems green around here, and maybe they're having a lot of fun. I'm going to get out of the way. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead on by. As you can see, there are an awful lot of people here. They're all having a great time celebrating St. Patrick's Day, including this young lady. She's everyone's here is having a good time, including Joanne Small, the president of the Irish Association. Let's talk a little bit. As you can tell, a lot of people here are having a great time.
They are. It's a wonderful event. It's been going on all day since 1 o'clock. I'm tired, but we've a long night to go yet. So until about 10, 11:30, even though it's a Tuesday, it's a school night, we're going to keep going until then.
Let's talk a little bit about St. Patrick's Day and what it really means to the Irish community here in Manitoba.
It's more to celebrate our patron saint of Ireland, who is the shamrock is symbolic. Sorry. My voice going. It's symbolic to Ireland. It's the three Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And green is our colour, not blue, not any other colour, but green.
It's all about the green. Also, a lot about the dancing. Let's talk a little bit about. We've got some incredible dancers. They've been coming on and off the stage. Talk to me a little bit, if you would, just about the dancers and how important that is as well.
Well, we like to celebrate. Our music, our dance and our song is all about who we are. Dancing is one aspect of it. Music is another. We're great storytellers. We can tell a yarn or two, that is for sure. So we can dance the night away.
this kind of dancing that we're seeing, it's obviously not the kind of thing that you just learn overnight, right?
Right. No, this takes years of practice. These little ones have just basically started, but then we have senior dancers. We have 2 groups of dancers. We have McConnell School of Irish Dance and we have McDonald School of Irish Dance. And they're both fantastic, fit people.
There's a lot of incredible dancing going on and obviously an awful lot of fun. This is a true celebration of culture. And Joanne, thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to send it back to you, Marilee. I have been promised that there is a pint of Guinness with my name on it. I got the glasses. I've got the hat. I'm going to go find it. Someone took it off me. They were having so much fun. They just grabbed it. So I'm going to go find that. I'm going to go find a drink and enjoy the rest of the evening here.
All right, I can't wait to see what else you get into tonight. Thanks, John. We'll check back in with you in a little bit.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, I guess, Colleen.
I will give him an A+. He is an Irishman tonight, folks.
It looks like he's having a lot of fun.
And good for him. That's great. Once he gets into that Guinness, watch out.
Yeah, stick around. Who knows what's going to happen yet?
You never know. Live television. It is St. Patrick's Day. You wouldn't know it outside, though, from the snow that's been falling all day long across much of the province. And as advertised, it did roll into Winnipeg around 10 o'clock this morning or so. And boy, did it pick up this afternoon. If you were in that afternoon commute, you know how slow going it was. Now, for the most part, the snow is wrapped up in the southwest. It continues for now in Winnipeg in the southeast, but it won't last for too much longer. The bulk of this snow is moving into Minnesota, as you can see. Some of it should graze northwestern Ontario with a couple of centimeters of snow yet this evening before it wraps up there. But there is also the possibility of some freezing drizzle or some freezing rain. You can see right here where the snow, that's the purple, turns to that line of pink. That is freezing rain or freezing drizzle. There's a possibility some of it could swing through southern Manitoba into the southeast this evening and overnight and into tomorrow morning. So just watch for that. That could make for slippery conditions. The strong winds accompanying the snow were also accompanying a warm front, and although those winds didn't feel warm at all, they're actually helping to send temperatures rising. We're actually up a degree over the last couple of hours. We'll take it. At least the temperatures are rising. They're not falling. We're not alone. Temperatures will be rising or holding steady tonight across much of southern Manitoba and then rising nicely above freezing in many places as we get into tomorrow. But first, the overnight hours, we see that snow pulls off further to the east, but we might see this come through tomorrow. Just narrow band of snow, but also freezing rain. It could pass through Winnipeg. It may go north, just north of the city through Selkirk. We'll watch that through Pinawa and into northwestern Ontario tomorrow afternoon. But you can see much of the province is on the brighter side as it clears out. Not so much for Winnipeg, but it does warm up, so we'll take that. And then as we get into Thursday too, you can see a little bit of mixed precipitation could be passing through. And on this St. Patrick's Day night, our leaping leprechaun is still leaping in the snow. It will come to an end this evening as the winds start to ease up. The temperatures should rise slightly to around -7. We are at -9 right now. That's why you see the asterisk there. That means temperatures are rising instead of falling. -5 tomorrow morning, cloudy with the risk of freezing drizzle. There is that chance of snow or freezing rain tomorrow, heading to a high of 1 degree. There is some snow tonight still crossing parts of the north, or flurries all across the northeast into Thompson down to -18 there. All across the northeast, there is the chance of snow. Best chance will be up around Gillam, Churchill, and Island Lake. Churchill and Gillam will get some sunshine after that. Some light snow falling tonight across the northwest. There's a chance of more through Lynn Lake and Norway House tomorrow. Otherwise, sunshine across the region. In the southwest tonight, watch out for freezing drizzle or fog developing overnight as temperatures either hold steady around -5 in Brandon or rise to -2 and -4 in Swan River and Dauphin. Chance of a little bit of a flurry activity or perhaps even some freezing rain tomorrow around Dauphin. Brighter skies in Brandon, but warmer too. Winnipeg in the southeast quickly. That snow will wrap up tonight. Watch out for freezing drizzle both tonight and tomorrow. There is a chance of more snow in Pinawa at 2 degrees. And in northwestern Ontario, snow ends tonight. Cloudy there tomorrow with temperatures getting to freezing or all the way up to 4 degrees in Fort Frances. Now, this is Mocha and Slugger. out munching on some hay. That's north of Minnedosa in that falling snow. That photo is from Carol. And this is Vanya, who captured the gorgeous sunrise in St. Norbert by the floodway. Email us your weather photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. Gimli's Carrie Anerson managed to keep her flawless streak going this afternoon at the Women World's Curling Championship in Calgary.
Be up to her to bring this over and push it out and sit down, and it will hang on for four.
Anerson's rink managed to break out in front with 4 points in the 8th end for a 9-5 lead. And despite managing an impressive shot to the button with her last rock, Italy shook hands after the 9th end, handing Anerson's team Canada a 9-6 victory. Canada now sits at the top of the standings at 5-0 ahead of Switzerland, Japan, and Turkey. At the top 6 teams at the conclusion of pool play on Friday will advance to the playoffs. The medal games, by the way, are set for Sunday. The Winnipeg Jets are looking to close out an 8-game homestand on a high note tonight as they square off against a divisional rival.
We believe in this room that, we're this season and a lot of parts of the season don't reflect kind of the group we have, and unfortunately we can't go back. But coming out of the break, I think just there's no quit in this team. There's a lot of pride in here, and there's also a recent memory of a team that knows how to win a lot of hockey games.
The Jets are facing the Nashville Predators, a team Winnipeg has already beaten twice this season. A regulation win tonight would bump the Jets ahead of the Predators in the Western Conference standings. The Jets are currently 6-2-2 in the last 10 games and have been on a strong push after the Olympic break. Head coach Scott Arniel credits that in part to a more focused practice regimen in recent weeks.
There were some areas that we changed, tinkered with, whether it's our D-zone coverage, whether it's our forecheck. I won't get into them all, but there are areas where we tinkered with things, our transition, some of those things that put a more emphasis on maybe this is, maybe looking at, the coaches, we took some time during the break to look at everybody looked at some areas and tried to focus on how can we make them better.
Defenseman Neil Pionk was also sporting a yellow no-contact jersey during this morning's skate. Arniel says he will be coming along for the upcoming road trip, but made no promises he'll see any action. Puck drop tonight at Canada Life Centre is 7 o'clock.
The Hockey Report, brought to you by Santa Lucia Pizza. Check out the game day special.
I used to be able to stay on top of my bills, have a few bucks in the bank, go on holidays. I can't do that no more.
A new survey finds 1 in 3 Canadians are unable to pay off their credit card bills each month, and almost half say they're living paycheck to paycheck. We're going to take a closer look at that report just ahead. Many Canadians are struggling to pay their bills each month, feeling the financial squeeze with housing costs, the price of groceries, and now rising gas prices. A third of people are unable to pay off their credit card bills each month. Almost half say they're living paycheck to paycheck. Pat Foran reports.
Credit card interest rates in Canada can be 20 to 24%, but some cards can be as high as 30%. It's wise to pay off your balance every month to avoid interest charges. But a new survey by Vivi Data found 36% of Canadian credit card holders carry a balance and rely on credit cards when they're short of money. And 49% feel they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Grocery shopping is really difficult. It's really hard to get good quality fruits and vegetables and protein at a reasonable price.
I used to be able to stay on top of my bills, have a few bucks in the bank, go on holidays. I can't do that no more. I basically work and go home.
Food prices are crazy, rent is crazy, so I understand why people would be living paycheck to paycheck.
Almost half of Canadians waiting for their next paycheck is concerning.
And now that 49% number, feeling like they're paycheck to paycheck, that's an incredibly high number.
Not paying off your credit card balance each month also makes it harder to get ahead.
They will use a credit card when they can't make something, can't make some payments at the end of a month. And that just becomes, a vicious cycle.
Credit counseling agencies say they're also noticing more people feeling the financial squeeze.
People were stretched before this new war in Iran.
the price of food, the price of housing, it's all been really, really expensive. But surprise, now you're paying an extra 16 or 20 cents a liter on gas.
The survey also found 58% said they have less disposable income than before, and 71% say rising costs are reducing how much they can save. Even if money is tight, it's recommended you try to pay more than the minimum monthly payment on your credit card bill each month.
When you only make your minimum monthly payment, it can take decades to pay off even a small balance.
Housing debt, both rents and mortgages, as well as expensive car loans, are also putting added pressure on many Canadians. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Using medical or recreational cannabis to ease symptoms of numerous mental health conditions doesn't work, according to 2 new analyses of existing gold standard research. One of the studies published in the journal Lancet Psychiatry analyzed results from 54 randomized controlled trials published between 1980 and 2025. The lead author says there was no evidence cannabis is effective in treating anxiety, depression, or PTSD, 3 of the leading reasons for which cannabis is prescribed. They say cannabis also did not improve other conditions such as anorexia, nervosa, bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, or psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia. And a new study challenges the long-held idea that a little alcohol may be good for the brain. A large analysis published in BMJ Evidence-Based Medicine found even moving from 1 to 3 drinks a week raised the risk of dementia by 15%. Researchers reported no amount of alcohol was protective for the brain, directly contradicting earlier studies that suggested moderate drinking might help. In fact, the risk of developing dementia went up steadily as alcohol intake increased. Experts say the findings add to a growing body of evidence showing alcohol is a neurotoxic, which damages brain cells and blood vessels. They say the less you drink, the better it is for long-term brain health.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Koster Denture Clinic.
Bringing fantasy to fans, why a Juno-nominated singer will be spending some extra time in Winnipeg.
Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Brad Williams, the Tall Tales Tour.
A Juno Award-nominated artist is adding another hometown date to her tour. Begonia is bringing her Fantasy Life tour to the Burton Cummings Theatre on Friday, November 13th. But now, due to popular demand, she's adding another show on Saturday, November 14th. Tickets go on sale this Friday for the new date at 10 a.m. through Ticketmaster. Well, you can step back in time with a silent film doubleheader over at Cinematheque this week. The 1923 film Our Hospitality follows a young man who sets out to claim his birthright only to discover it and the woman he falls for along the way are not at all what they appear. It stars legendary silver screen actor Buster Keaton in his first foray beyond the traditional slapstick comedy for which he was known. The second film, 1 Week, is much more typical comedy for Keaton and sees him and his new wife trying to build a house from a kit. The screening is happening Thursday evening at 7. A short-lived cult science fiction TV show from 23 years ago is making waves online. The star of the 2003 show Firefly announced on Instagram an animated version of the show may happen. Nathan Fillion says the project already has a script and the blessings of original creator Joss Whedon. He asked for fans to help spread buzz about the possible project, and boy, did they ever. His Instagram post had more than 900,000 likes since he posted it on Sunday. Wow. Your Tuesday primetime lineup starts at 7 with Will Trent. High Potential comes next at 8. RJ Decker is at 9. And Catch Tracker at 10. It is all right here tonight on CTV.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Tonight, a global web of deception to recruit young Canadians as drug mules.
It knocks the breath out of you. Because this is your child.
The dangerous tactics leaving some facing life in prison. Later on CTV National News and watch on Crave.
Highest temperature of the day is the current one. It's -9 degrees. But do you remember this? 14 years ago, the record was set when we soared to 19.2 degrees. Yeah, that was then. This is now. -9 is current temperature. We will swing up to about -7 by morning, en route to a high of 1 on Wednesday. Jump for joy. Chance of snow or freezing rain, albeit a low one. Increasing clouds Thursday, 3 degrees. 2 on Friday with a low chance of freezing rain. A chance of snow or ice pellets on Saturday with a high of -1.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, they say everyone is a little Irish on St. Patrick's Day, and nowhere is that more true than over at the Irish Association of Manitoba, which is where John Hendricks is at the bar already. I guess you are holding true to your statement you were getting some Guinness.
Marilee, I wanted to make myself a little pint of Guinness, but they told me that if I wanted one, I had to make myself useful and do some work. So I'm here behind the bar doing a little bit of work, giving everyone else a little bit of Guinness. And then when my task is complete, I will be able to have one myself. So I'm going to let you send it right back to you. I want to get back to work so I can